today I decided to upgate myself again.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. We're gonna do this. Okay, so a couple of updates, first of all. So firstly, this has nothing to do with beauty. If anything, it has to do with how unbeautiful the world is. So we all know about the shooting in Parkland, Florida, right? So, at my school, we have, earlier this year, back in September, there was a gun threat. There was a student with a loaded gun in his backpack. It was dealt with. We all went to school. We went through, this year entirely, we went through one lockdown drill. One. And it wasn't high threat, it was a low threat lockdown. After the Parkland shooting, there was a lot of stuff just going on, a lot of buzz in the student body. There was a lot of talk on social media about school walkouts. There are a couple different ones scheduled, one March 14th, one April 20th, which everyone was laughing because, haha, there's a school walkout on 420. Like, that's funny. But I was like, but why is it 420? Like, I don't understand what's going on with that. So I looked it up. April 20th is the anniversary of the Columbine shooting. It's not a random 420 date. Personally, my outlook when April 20th rolls around is going to be a little bit changed because everyone else is going to be laughing about the fact that it's 420. And I'm going to be like, yeah, like 19 years ago Columbine happened, and since then the world has been changed. But so started organizing a school walkout on March 14th. That one is at 10 a.m. for 17 minutes, 1 minute for every life lost in the Parkland shooting. I started organizing this as a senior, as a concerned student, as, frankly, a homeschooler who's in school for the first year ever. Because I do things and I'm not afraid of what's going to happen. I'm not afraid. I was like, honestly, I'm going to organize this, and whoever wants to follow me is going to follow me in it. And if we have at least 5 people, then it'll be considered a thing. And honestly, I'm willing to take a detention or even a suspension. I'll take the fall for this. Like, I don't care. This is important. I'm going to walk out for gun control. It's going to happen. So I started organizing this, but it was kind of on the down low, because it's a couple weeks away still. It's on March 14th. And we had an assembly last week at school, which I'd been meaning to talk to our principal anyway, which he's actually a pretty cool guy. As principals go, I don't mind him. He's pretty decent. Like, he respects students that respect him, but he's not a dick. Like, he's genuinely a pretty cool guy. Today was 80s day at school, and he was dressed in like an 80s sweatsuit. Like, I got a selfie with him, it was all good. So I was already gonna talk to him, but then we had an assembly, and it was 20 minutes long. He did it for each class, but the first class he talked to was the seniors, and it was first period. And the last thing he said, last couple of minutes he spent, throughout he said, you guys are like my kids. Like, I consider you my children. My first priority is keeping you guys safe. We're doing everything we can for that. He mentioned lockdown drills, and he's like, this is why we do drills, to keep you guys safe. And then he said, we're the senior class. We have a new school. This is our first full school year in this new building. And he said, we do drills, that's why we do drills. We're required to do a certain number. I believe we did that full maximum security threat your guys' freshman year. And I was sitting there thinking, right. I wasn't in school then. And neither were most of the people here, honestly. I'd say the good half of them weren't at Thornton freshman year, or were homeschooled, or whatever. And not to mention anybody who was absent on that day of school. They were sick, they had something else to do, they weren't there. Also, we're in a new building. Maximum procedure, maximum threat, school shooting, the procedure is different, the escape route is different. classrooms do not open. They open that much. A very thin person can fit through, but that's it. Our escape route, if there is a shooter, an active shooter in our school, our only route of escape is out the classroom door, out the doors outside. There are a few back exits, yes, but the fact that we cannot escape from our classrooms. And some classrooms are toward the middle of the building. They're not near any exit doors. What are they supposed to do? So that's something that's not particularly beautiful. That's kind of something that's been bothering me. So this entire talk, I've been like, when's he gonna bring up the walkout? He's had to have caught wind of it by now. I haven't talked to him yet and planning on doing that, but he hasn't he probably caught wind. He's up, he knows what's going on. He said, lastly, I want to talk to you guys. I said, okay, here it comes. He's a pretty cool guy. He's probably going to be okay with it, but like, what's he going to say right now? He said, I've been keeping up with the kids from Parkland. One thing I want to say is that I respect them. I respect what they're doing. I respect that these young people are standing up for the voice that they have. I respect our young people. And he said, last night they had a town hall meeting, and they drilled Senator Rubio. And he was like, and there was nothing more invigorating and inspiring than seeing those kids drill Rubio for what they believe is right. And I'm just sitting there like, okay, this is good so far. And he said, I've heard buzz. I don't know what's going on. I've heard buzz of a walkout. I just want you guys to know that you all have a voice. I want you to know that it's okay to stand up for your voice. And if there is a walkout happening, let it be done intelligently. Be smart about it. Don't take this lightly, because it's not. This is a serious issue, and if there's a walkout, you better know that it's serious. But I respect you guys and your voice. And I want to tell you guys again that you're like my kids. And he ended it right about there. There were a few finishing words. But I turned to my friends, because it was the row we were sitting in the auditorium that was like the walkout row. Like, we're the row organizing this. And I turned to my friend Rose and I said, did we just essentially get the go-ahead for the walkout? Like, is that what just happened? Am I understanding this? And she was like, I think that's what just happened. So I'm talking to other teachers, because other teachers have been in on this, and talking to other teachers, and over the next day or two, like, I get confirmation, we have go-ahead from the administration to do this walkout. Today I created a Remind, which y'all aren't students, that I don't know if you know what that is. It's an app / messaging service for teachers to use to communicate with their kids, to send out reminds or announcements. It's just a method of communication. So on the Remind, I created a class and titled it NHS School Walkout Today. And basically you text, either on the app you put in a code to join the class, or you text a certain number to join with the code to join the class. Today alone, today was the first day I enacted this. Today alone, I haven't checked my phone, but last time I checked as of a couple hours ago, there were 43 students and teachers who had joined the Remind in just the period today, starting at 7:45 when I put the class up in the first place. So out of that, despite the unbeauty that is happening, there's a sort of beauty forming in students of my generation, recognizing that they have a voice and recognizing that they can stand up for themselves and show others that we don't have to be quiet. I know one thing I posted the day of or day after the election, 2016, or maybe it was before, I don't remember. It was sometime around the election. It was right after, it was the day after. I posted something and I said, I didn't have a choice but I do have a voice. I'm lucky, if that's the word, to say that I do actually officially have a choice this year because I will be 18 by the time midterms roll around. Yeah! Woo! Yeah! I get to vote this year. Woo! Ooh. That's something I'll be doing, but also, yikes. So through this, there's a sort of beauty that's happening. I reached for my phone in the wrong pocket. On a completely different note, I'm going to end on a poem that I wrote a while ago. I think I wrote this a month or two ago. Kind of about personal beauty and finding beauty in myself. I called it Swimming Lessons. When I was 6 years old, I learned how to swim. In the pool with my mom, I doggy paddled and blew bubbles. When I was 11 years old, I learned how to swim. In a world of my peers, I plugged my nose and ears as they called me fat and annoying. When I was 15 years old, I learned how to swim. In an emotionally abusive relationship, I managed to break free of his grasp in the depths of the water. When I was 16 years old, I learned how to swim. In the midst of the death of my father, the abandonment of my stepdad, and newfound love from before things went wrong, I held my breath until my head rose above the surface. When I was 17 years old, I forgot how to swim. In a healthy and loving relationship, I could no longer remember the things I had learned. I was waiting for the challenge I had to face, but it never came. All of a sudden, I was drowning. My mother was no longer there to help me doggy paddle. I didn't plug my ears and nose, and I let the words of my peers tear into my brain. I felt the icy grip of my past relationship trauma latch onto my ankle and drag me down to the bottom of the pool. I was still holding my breath to rise to the top, but it just kept slipping farther away. As I start to run out of air, I remember that you are a pool attendant. Not a lifeguard, not capable of saving me, but there to reach your hand into the water to help pull me up if I just remembered how to swim. When I was 17 years old, I remembered how to swim. In the midst of my anxiety and trauma responses, I blew out the bubbles of the breath I had been holding. I plugged my ears to the voices. I kicked my legs and flailed my arms until I broke free of the grasp. I held my breath and swam until I could see the surface. Sure enough, there was your hand, waiting to grasp mine. You were not my savior, but you were all I needed you to be. Thank you.